What's up, guys? Welcome back to Eastern Shore Talk, your podcast for all things self-care and movies. We are now on episode 23, and if this is your first time tuning in with us, welcome. We hope you enjoy it. My name is Jay Watson,
And now Cathy Castle.
and Cathy and I are going to talk about, we're going to kind of get back to basics again a little bit with self-care, and our topic tonight is going to be the fact that self-care is everywhere. Sometimes we just don't see it. It's not as the activities are not as daunting and as difficult as most people may think. So we're going to kind of dive into that tonight with a little more basics. But as usual, first things first, we're going to do a little check-in. So, Cathy, what's going on with the castles here lately?
Yeah, well, I missed episode 22 because actually we had some real life sad stuff going on in our family. My husband's brother passed away just this past Thursday. And unfortunately, a young man, 54, and he had a chronic health condition going on, but it's hard. It's never easy when something like that happens. Marty is from a family of three brothers. He was one of three brothers, and he also lost his other brother, his older brother, 30 years ago to a pulmonary embolism. So they're both he's lost both of his brothers to a health condition, and it's just hard. It's very hard. It's difficult. I've been trying to be as helpful as I can to support all of them, his parents. I just can't imagine being his parents and having to, every parent would say, you never want anything to happen to your children before you. And it's just tough stuff. We did utilize hospice services, and I can tell you that all the wonderful, I don't know if you ever experienced hospice, Jay, but everything people say about them, the hospice house, it's all true. They're just incredibly kind and helpful, and really help people transition very peacefully. So I was very thankful for them, the Talbot Hospice crew. But anyway, that's where we've been this week. But it's real life, right? So my check-in is real life.
Yeah. I want to echo that thing about Talbot Hospice. While I have not directly been involved, I was kind of secondhand aware and involved with a hospice situation with family friends. And everyone who's dealt with Talbot Hospice has just spoke glowingly, and just they could not be better at what they do by all accounts. And we're very lucky, and I'm sure just hospice in general is probably just that. I think they do a good job of letting the people that get involved with things like it, because it takes a special kind of person to do something like that. So yeah, I echo those thoughts 100%.
And I hope they're doing self-care, because it's heavy work. Oh my God.
Like you talk about, like who's helping the helpers, yeah.
Maybe I need to go back there and talk with them.
Yeah. Because they're in their own way, they're kind of sort of a first responder. I know you kind of, they are a different aspect of it, but I know you're kind of first responders are near and dear to your heart, which you do. So they certainly fit in that category as well. On my end, I just want to do a little venting.
Wait, did you miss me last week?
I did. Liza and I kind of held it down.
At least you had a good co-host.
Yeah, Liza, we both love Liza. She's great. She's kind of the third co-host of Eastern Shore Talk. So she's, she fits right in. And we talked about movie sequels, and we had a great conversation. And it was good. We both missed you. But we understood, and our prayers were with you when you found and you were going through.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
But life-wise, it's pretty typical. Work slowed down a little bit, and it's it's not unusual for August because family vacations and kids.
Oh, people are on vacation, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like people have really shoved vacations into August. I'm not an August vacationer.
I'm not either.
Dang, everybody is gone.
And plus, the kids are going back to school, so people are getting ready for that and doing whatever. And So that's not unusual for August to kind of slow down a little bit. So, um, yeah, I wanted to kind of touch on something, and I've kind of sort of talked about this with you before, but another situation came up, and I know when the whole Eastern Shore Talk group first started, one of the things that kind of motivated me to do this thing was a website slash organization called Wondermind
Yeah.
that Selena Gomez and her
Mm.
mom and a third partner created a few years ago, and they're such a wonderful advocacy, educational, informative place for anyone wanting to learn about or needing help with mental health or wellness. They have celebrities that come on and tell their stories. They have mental health professionals from all over the world that come on and talk about whatever. But anyway, so because of that, um, I'm just such a big fan of Selena Gomez as a person because
Mhm.
of that primarily. But she's just, she's just as a person, she's wonderful. She went through some stuff on social media where she was being bombarded with um, body shaming
Oh
and
gosh.
people asking her like what kind of work have you had done to your body and all these things. And
Hmm.
she finally said, "Look, here's the honest truth. I had Botox done one time years ago, and that's been it." She has a health situation that
Yeah.
she's been dealing with for several years, that she talks about publicly.
When is it kidney?
Um,
I think it was a kidney.
she had a kid. One of her friends donated a kidney transplant. One of her actress friends donated a kidney to her many years ago. She, I want to say she has lupus.
Yeah, something like that. I think you're right.
Yeah. So she's just, and her body has changed because of these
And
health
I
things.
heck
Yeah.
yeah, and the fluctuation of weight, I'm sure, happens when you have, well,
Yeah.
age, and I know she's not old, and
No, she's in her early 30s, but it just, and
health issues can make you look different.
yeah, I'm just, for it's just if, Kathy, I talk about this all the time. It just, that whole thing on social media frustrates me. And I keep asking myself this question, and I don't know that it'll ever be answered. I'm like, I just want to say to the general social media world,
Be
why,
nice.
well, not just that, but like, why does it matter? Why do you take it
Well,
so personally what Selena Gomez looks like?
Jay,
Why does that matter to you?
you've really made me open my eyes to the social media meanness. Um because it's easy for me, like I know what I use social media for. Like I think sometimes I shamelessly look at reels and laugh, and obviously I'm me and middle school boys probably have similar humor. So, funny stuff comes up, and or I'm really looking at whatever. I hear somebody's kids graduating, somebody's getting married, and that's good to keep in touch with people. But if I see something I don't like if somebody's being mean, even if it's like something political or whatever, where I'm like, just leave that off. Don't be mean. I'm just
Yeah,
like, scroll. I don't need you. But I've been thinking really hard about these celebrities and athletes. When you were telling me about that young woman who dropped out of golf, right?
yes,
And then
Lexi Thompson. Yeah,
I was just thinking about the Olympics, right? And the gymnast that got the bronze
then taken away. Then yeah, yep,
first, and she was saying she was going to take a break from social media, and I thought, because people are so stinking mean, like, just stop, just stop. Or even think about poor little Jackson Holiday, for the Orioles, when he came up and he wasn't doing so well, and then, oh, here comes the vomit of meanness against
yeah.
this poor little 20-year-old child, and then now he's doing good, but we're so quick to judge and throw out meanness.
I, a million things come to my mind when I see somebody, whoever it is,
Yeah.
but it's not, yeah, celebrities and athletes, because of they're in the public eye, they're under more scrutiny than the rest of us. But
Because we
I
expect them to be perfect, or if
yeah,
they are perfect, then what's wrong with you? It's like they can't win.
and I go back to like the lesson that I'm sure both of our parents taught us. It's like, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything. Which always leads me to the question: okay, what would happen if you just didn't say anything at all?
Or here you go. I got a theory for you. I have one friend, and if I always call her and I'm like, if I'm going to be mean, if I feel meanness brewing up, because I am a Scorpio and I have a little bit of a mean side. So I call her up and I'm like, can I go to the confessional? She said, I'm in the car. Let her rip. So then I get all the meanness out. I was like, I have to do this so I can be nice in general. Like, so if you got a little mean to you, get it out somewhere, but do it appropriate. Don't just throw it out there like vomit the on what did they some people call it the interwebs. Just don't throw it out there.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, it,
It's like manners. Use your
yeah,
man.
yeah, just read the room.
Read the
Um,
room. Yeah.
but like, why say anything if you're look if you're scrolling and you're seeing whatever, and let's just say because we're talking about Selena Gomez, and you see a post or a picture, we all see a picture or a post, and we all create an opinion in our mind. We all do it, but for someone to take that next step and say, she don't look like she used to look. I'm gonna like why say anything? What is the downside of not saying anything? Not commenting at all. You've already created the opinion in your mind. No one's saying you don't have the right to your opinion. You still have that opinion. What what kind of outcome are you trying to get by throwing that out there? What do you want to happen? Like what it,
Yeah, and
and
it's
I don't know that there's an edge because it's probably different for different people, but I just
I'll tell
that
you,
just it gets
one of
me.
my kids had a text sent to him recently, and it ended, and it was a complicated situation. But anyway, it ended with the person saying, "I never liked you anyway." And I thought that as a mama broke my heart because he just kept thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about what did I do? What did I do? And a pastor said to me recently, she said it, I'm sure much better than this, but this is basically the gist. She said the search for why is exhausting.
Yes, yes.
And but to tell we all can it's not easy to just put that down. Like if somebody says, I never liked you anyway, that's hurtful. It's hard to just put that down and say, whatever. It's not easy to do that.
No, and it's I love that you said that because I think about that a lot, and especially when it comes to interpersonal things where someone else's actions have affected you in some way. So you're always thinking, why?
Yeah.
Why did they do that? And here's
Yeah.
the thing, and I love what your pastor said because you don't always get the answer why because the person that did it may not even know why. And that's what's tough
Yeah.
because we don't know what we don't know. So if they don't know the answer, they
They might have
can't
a
give
bunch
you
of
one.
garbage. And then it's
Yes.
kind of mean, but we need the mean screen.
Yep. But it's so funny. Like every time we start a conversation, that it goes back to self care because
Yeah.
I'm going to touch
Yeah.
on this later because, and I was thinking about this today when I was walking around the store getting my steps in because I was thinking
I just
about,
oh Stuart Jay. You must be hitting it. You must be
I
just
do. I get my 10,000 steps in every day.
straight.
I'm walking a hole in that floor.
You're gonna need some new floor in the flooring.
But yeah, I just think, look, self care is wonderful and that we all should be partaking of it, but it's not a cure all. It doesn't keep you from struggling. The struggles are still going to hit all of us. But what I think the biggest thing self care does, if you're doing it consistently enough to build that strong sense of self that I talk about all the time, that when that struggle does come up, you've kind of built that callus where you have enough confidence, like, okay,
Yeah.
I know who I am. I'm fine. This sucks right now, but I'm going to get through it because I've been building this ability up within myself to be able to handle this, as difficult as it may be. That's like it's like you're building that. It's literally and figuratively self confidence. You're not only to like how you feel about how the world views you, which is a difficult thing for all of us to overcome because we're always trying to project this thing to the world, and getting past that and living within yourself is but that confidence that you build through a strong sense of self that you think, okay, I'm going through it right now, but you know what? I've done all this work and I feel so good about myself. I'm going to get through this. It's such a huge thing to be able to realize that when the shitty stuff comes around, you're
It's
gonna, it's
and
gonna,
like
it's going to,
and
it's
then
going
come
to,
back
that,
like a boomerang.
that to have a strong enough sense of self to be like, okay, I got this. That's the big thing. But yeah.
And
So
it's hard
let's,
to be confident, like the Selena Gomez stuff. I mean, we at least as women, I don't know as men, Jay, you could answer this, but like this face, if you don't think I haven't already broken it down like a microscope and know that these 11 lines
yeah,
are very like pronounced, and I wish they weren't there either. But then if somebody wrote, "Man, Cathy's got some bad 11 lines," I'd be like, that's me. But don't you think I've already done that to myself?
yeah,
I'm just using that as an example. Like
yeah.
we're to make those kind of comments about people, but if you don't think we haven't, at least as women, we're looking in the mirror all the time saying, "Man, what is that?"
It's funny. I tell you, I'm glad you said something because as a personal trainer in my past,
Hmm.
I'll tell you this. Yes, of course, I had clients that were women that, yes, all those things that you just
We can
said.
tell you all our faults immediately,
But
our physical faults.
here's the thing that people don't think about. Men, I'm not going to try to quote the statistics because I don't remember them offhand, but you would be surprised at how many men have body dysmorphia and how many men um, actually go to a gym because of how insecure they are about their body.
Mhm.
It's the opposite. In other words, women think they're too big, so they go in there to get smaller. The men think they're too small, so they go in there to bulk
Yeah,
up and be
it's
more
true.
muscular. Um, but if you walk into any gym anywhere in this country, most of the men that are in there have gone in there for insecure reasons because they did not like, justified or not, what they saw in the mirror. And a good
Yeah,
portion of them, myself included, I got into exercising and lifting weights way back in the day because of a body dysmorphia of some kind. And it's
yeah,
body dysmorphic syndrome is it's kind of it kind of splits into different categories and all, but men are not immune to having body insecurities
yeah.
as people may think. I just say that. Yeah, because and it's funny for men, going to the gym is a double edged sword because there's that part where you're like, okay, I'm trying to pump myself to look better. And
Right.
sometimes, like with me, it's as simple as I want to be more attractive for the women. When I was 17 years old and I walked in,
Jay, why don't
that's
why made me laugh?
that's. But it's also it's 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 also tough for a lot of them because they walk in there and now they're comparing themselves to every other man that's in
Yeah.
there. I'm not as buff as that guy, or I can't lift as much as that guy. So
See, I'm glad I'm not in a gym, Jay.
it shows itself in different ways for men and women, but it's it's prevalent in men more than people may think.
Oh, women too. I'm not going to a gym. I know how, believe it or not, I had a membership. I went to the Y for maybe a month.
Was it an honorary membership?
Shit, come on, Jay. It was that year. It was that New Year's thing. But
Yeah,
I can't say I didn't go in there and say, now I'm happy because I ate that cheeseburger. I know she didn't eat it.
yeah,
But we are looking around comparing. God, it's hard. Very
yeah.
white.
So, but yeah. So let's kind of dive into our
Yeah.
topic today, which is
Since we
self.
have no feelings about hating people on social media.
So yeah, self care is everywhere, and I don't think a lot of people realize that doing self care is not as daunting as difficult as you may think. You're probably doing self care already and don't even realize it.
Right.
And I know Cathy has, as per usual, has pulled up an article about 99 things that are self care, and she's going to kind of refer her list. I'm going to refer to our website, which I probably have 60 or 70, and there are some on there that are simple, that don't cost you a thing. Um, and you may be doing them already and just never connected the dots and realized that you're doing self care all along. And just to kind of show that it's not as hard to find it It's everywhere. That's kind of the theme of the episode today. So,
All right, let me read something. You know, I like to read articles.
yep, go ahead, Kathy.
All right, this particular article says self care is a term that describes doing activities that support your physical and mental health. These activities can help decrease stress, enhance your energy, and overall well being. Some self care activities are passive, like taking a bath, while others are more active, like exercising. That just describes you and me.
Yep,
Um, while we naturally gravitate towards certain self care practices, it's also important to know about a variety of activities that can benefit your health. You can think of it like having a toolbox. They borrowed that from us, I think, Jay.
yep,
A toolbox filled with a lot of different type of tools. Depending on your mood or the occasion, you might prefer to use one tool over the other. Anyway, I liked that summary.
yep,
We're always looking for different definitions of self care, but I really
yep.
like that. Yeah. So,
So I'm gonna kind of refer to some of the self care activity tips on the website, and some of them are pretty obvious. One of the
hey, should we talk about? You and I talked a little bit about this before we started airing. About in one episode, I was explaining that I find that a lot of times I will ask people, "What are you doing to take care of yourself? What are you doing for self care?" And they say, "I don't know." And then my takeaway is, hey, you need to start there. If you don't know, you need to kind of list things so that you can use that list. But then you made a very good point, counterpoint, that where you said we need to rephrase that. What are you doing for self-care? So I wouldn't mind you sharing that, what you said to me.
Yeah, so and you've brought this up a couple times where when someone's going through a situation and you'll ask them, so tell me some things that will make you feel better. And I've been thinking about that because you've always said that they say, I don't know, or I can't think of anything.
Right.
And we can go, there's probably some psychological reasons why they do that. They're resistant to help or whatever the case may be. But I think sometimes we don't always connect the dots between um, what we enjoy as being self care. In other words, if we were to rephrase that question instead of saying, "Tell me some things that make you feel better," if we were to say, "Tell me some things that you enjoy doing," they could probably shoot off a dozen right away,
Yeah.
whatever those things are, and then you could say, "Well, there you go. There's your self care." Because self care, what that second category that I talk about all the time are those things that we just enjoy doing. That just takes the mindset shifters that I talk about all the time. Um, and
I
that's
thought
that's
that's way to say that, Jay. Like maybe I need to ask that a different way. Like, what do you enjoy doing to get people to kind of change? You know, maybe that taps into there's even some self-care tips about kind of getting grounded by, tapping into the senses, name some things you see, smell, can
right.
touch, taste. Maybe it's kind of like that where you just have to stop and what do you like? So I really, I thought that was a good way to break that down, which with what you said.
Yeah, and I think also what that does, Kathy, is it like we're trying to talk about this tonight is it presents self care as not something that's so daunting because they're already doing it anyway. So
Yeah.
they kind of they're hopeful like, oh, well, not be so bad. I can do this. Um,
But you
because
and
I
I
th-
about time out. I keep cutting you off, Jay. I'm
sorry,
sorry. But you and I were talking about this in the beginning too. I'd say you're probably better at bringing in the obvious that helps you or doing your self-care practices. You're better than I am, I would say. We talked a little bit about that before we went on, where like for me, and I think it's important for everybody to know where you are in this. I said for me, even though I've worked in mental health a very long time and I preach what I'm talking about, but I'm not always a good student. So for me personally, I would say my own self-assessment is that I'm very good with preventative self-care. Like I can get into some good routines, do some good self-care. When I'm right in the heat of it, right in the thick of it, I don't go to the toolbox. But then post, I can pick it up really quickly and go back to the toolbox.
right,
So like for me, like this last couple of weeks where we've had this and of course, this is an extreme situation in our family. I didn't go to my self-care toolbox at all.
Right.
I started helping other people
Yeah.
and just put the oxygen mask on me and or on. No, I didn't even put it on me. I put it on other people before I put it on me. I didn't follow the oxygen theory either.
Yeah.
God. But so I have to figure out when I'm in the hole, I need to start grabbing those things that I'm very aware of that can help me. But when I'm in it, it's hard for me to see it. So if I'm struggling like that, I'm sure other people are
Yeah.
too.
Nothing about let me talk about before we get going. That's wife role coming out. That's mom role coming out. Family member in law. Um, you just have that, you know, desire. Obviously, you've been doing this for 30 plus years where you're giving of yourself to others
Yeah.
primarily. So that's just your nature. And that's not a bad thing. It's not wrong. It's to be commended.
But
It's just
sometimes it's a bad thing.
well, it's a hard balancing act. It's a hard
Yeah.
to kind of, you know,
And
um,
we're real on this show, and I'm
yeah,
just very real and vulnerable too.
yeah,
Just saying,
sure.
like, I'm not perfect at this. Heck no.
And look, Kathy, I realize that while yes, I'm very OCD about my self care,
Discipline. Discipline, Jay.
but to be fair, some of it is also that, depending on who's listening, this may be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your point of view. I also have the luxury of having a lot of free time. In other words, I'm not a spouse. I don't have kids. I don't have any family that I'm involved with in any kind of regular way. So I have the time to do self care. Whereas I probably have more time to do self care than 99% of the people out there. So, I don't, I try not to use myself as an example because my situation is extreme in the case that I have so much time for self care. So I never, ever, ever have to try to fit self care in.
I give you credit too because I mean it's hard to say whose time is more busy. You know what I mean when you're comparing people, but you could also be somebody that isn't that disciplined, but you have chosen. I mean, you could literally choose a different path, and you and I have talked about that. But you have chosen, to really try to make yourself healthy and to do the right things for your whole mind, body, soul.
Yeah.
You're really living that practice. You are living a practice. But somebody could be in your exact situation, Jay, and not be doing what you're doing, and not be using good self care. So
Yeah. Well,
time is a good thing to have, but you got to
sure.
know how to discipline and use it, which is
Yeah.
what you do.
And I think with me, I've seen where it's gotten me. I've seen that doing it consistently has contributed greatly to being in the most happy, healthiest place I've ever been in my life. So that's just common sense. Why would I want to abandon what got me here? Um, I
And
don't
there's
know.
me on this what is it, on that mechanical bull? I'm on it. I'm doing it. I got myself in it.
But
Oh my God.
you're flailing and holding on for dear life. Yeah.
I'm on the floor. I got to get back up on the Bronco.
But yeah, it's not. We're going to talk about some specific activities that
Yeah.
people are currently already doing. They just because the term self care, like you and I've talked about before, the term self care is relatively new in the wellness world. Um, it's kind of evolved how we describe how we take care of ourselves. That phrasing has evolved as mental health and wellness has kind of evolved into the 21st century. Um, so the term self care, as we've come to learn, is not something that everybody is aware of what it is. So you may be doing it already and just don't realize it. Um, so I know you've got a list. I've got the list
Yeah.
on the website. So why don't you kind of start with some of the things on your list that kind of
Look,
stand out to you?
I'm gonna give a couple local companies. Now I'm going to start with a couple paid things, not freebies. There's a lot of freebies. Can I start with a couple paid things?
Yep.
Now we know that I must have left that card in time. Anyway, we know that there's a lot of things that don't cost money because that was part of our miss last time. But I'm gonna talk about two things in town that do cost money. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna start with those and then I'll get off of them. But Something that I have found lately, I don't even know if I told you this, is alternative therapy in Easton. I have gone there periodically and gotten some IV treatments,
Hmm.
which sounds really weird and strange, right? But like before I went on the trip, I went and got an immunity IV with like zinc and B12,
B12, yeah.
all these vitamins. I'm gonna tell you what, I had a little skip in my step. I felt good. I was hydrated. I felt good. And then I had another time where I was starting to get like sinusy, and I was like, oh no, what is this? I was like, I don't have time for this. And I was getting a little cough, a little drip, and I went in there and got another one, the same kind. And within 24 hours, I am not joking with you. I was
Mm.
like, man, I think I kicked it. I think this is good. So that's sort of a self care thing, and it could be a little pricey. I know that I have one of those flex cards at work where you can, you have money for like co-pays and things like that.
Yeah.
And the flex cards will pay for those kind of IV treatments. If any of you are out there that have those kind of things for work, through work, your flex cards. But anyway, that's that. And then I found a new thing that's coming up. I almost don't even want to say the name because I want to get in there before other people. But my hair, I went and got my hair cut the other day. So in the back of my hair salon, and I go to Glam, but in back of it, one of the staff there is opening up a Japanese head massage. Have you ever heard of
Hmm.
that?
Uh-uh.
Jay, I know you don't have hair, but listen, you can still.
I still want my head massaged.
So I never heard of it. Then I started Googling and I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to go in here. So they like totally they're cleaning your scalp. Yours might be easier than some of us. So and then they're like digging in, man. They're on the scalp, they're on your face, they're on your shoulders. I'm like, I would probably need a drool rag, but I think I'm gonna do that. I'm not kidding. It's like 5-star salon. I left the card home, but it's
Right.
new. I don't want too many of you booking your appointments till I get one.
You and all the open availables.
I want to get in there first. Yeah. So, but anyway, those are two paid things, and I know that we want to talk to you about things that people can just do. You can just do, or you already
Yeah.
do. So I don't know. Do you want to start your list of
Yeah.
the?
Well, yeah, I've taken screenshots of several of the ones on the website, and I'm going to
Okay.
look at page one. A lot of them, one of the gym exercise, a lot of kind of obvious ones, but I got um, two of them here that are not, that don't cost you a thing, that people may not even realize um, are self care. And actually, you do both of these, as far as I know. And the first one is, or have done, the first one is stretching, just
Oh
doing a
yeah,
good stretch, just doing a good
yeah.
overall body stretch.
I love some.
Um, yeah. And
I
the
mean,
other one,
when you're in bed and you're like, that feels good. Just
oh yeah,
you're like
I,
twisting.
I
Yeah,
call it
you
a
like
cat,
that.
the cat stretch when you first wake up. Yeah.
Yes. Get the cat stretch going.
And I got two more at the bottom of this list, and they kind of can go hand in hand, and that's go for a walk and enjoy nature slash water. And again, those are two things that you do both those, but they're both don't cost you a thing. They're easy. They're not high intensity physically. Um,
Yeah, but let's describe it in nature and water. Because somebody could be like, So I would say when you say nature and water, I know exactly what that means, but does somebody else know what that means? Like, doesn't mean you have to own a boat or doesn't mean you have to have a swimming pool. You can literally go down to a dock or you can take a day trip to the beach, even.
mhm.
A lot of us are lucky enough to live not too far and watch that sun go up or some sundown. Are you a sunrise or are you a sunset person? But find ways that nature and water can influence your mood for sure.
Yeah. And
Flower.
look, how many people have dogs that they have to walk periodically? You could be taking your dog for a walk and getting your
Yeah.
steps in and doing exercise. That's self care, but you're not. You're probably thinking, "Oh, I'm just walking the dog." But
Look, I have a friend in Florida and she walks or rides her bike or whatever. And then she'll send me pictures of her friend. You know what her friend is? Her friend is an alligator. And I'm like,
mm,
no, that is not a friend. That is not a friend. And she goes, isn't he cute? I'm like, no, he's not cute. That is self-care for you. That is self-traumatizing for me.
That's nature. She's observing nature.
You can observe that. You keep that right down in Florida, but which the point there is what maybe one man's self-care might be, but not another, right? But
Yep.
that nature is a big deal. Uh, what did you say something else before you said going for a walk? What did you say before that?
Stretching. We already talked about that.
Stretching,
And I
walking.
did walking and nature kind of hand in hand because they kind of, you can
Oh,
walk around your neighborhood, but you can go for a walk, through the
how,
woods or whatever.
how about the birds? I've become an old person bird watcher. I was sometimes I get a little embarrassed about it because it made me seem like I'm 152.
Mm-mm.
But you know what I bought last year or earlier in the year? I bought a hummingbird feeder that sucks up to the window,
Mm-hmm.
right? And nobody's come to the restaurant. So the hummingbird water sugar mixture that's in there, I don't know, it might be a month old. So the other night, my friend is over and she's like, "Oh, there's your hummingbird." And I was like, "Wait, I don't have hummingbirds. What?" So I got there and there's this little skinny guy, and I was like, "I've got to change the hummingbird food because he might not come back again because that might be bad food. I
Right.
might knock him out with that." So I changed it. This morning there was like 4 of them going around. But
There you go.
it really gave me a yeah.
Oh yeah. It's neat. What whether
Put
it's
that
like,
feeder, suck them right up on your Jay. Put one right outside your window. And put it
yeah,
out there.
I could do that, and I could be watching the birds while we're on the podcast.
Mm.
Now look, we've lived in this area our whole lives, and how many times in the like in the fall, especially when we start riding around, when the leaves start falling off, and we see deer everywhere out in the field. We've seen it a million times, but we're still like, oh, look at that every time, no matter how many times we've seen it.
No, it's not the deer. It's the horses. Like if you go to Assateague, I'm like, oh, I'm taking all these pictures of horses. Like I have never seen one before in my life.
Yeah. So, what are a couple items on your list?
Yeah. So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at a list, and well, what I shouldn't say. I'm gonna say this. This is a favorite of mine. This is on the list, and this is a favorite of mine, and this is gonna make me vulnerable, but I'm gonna say it. I like my blankets. I'm a blanket girl. And this is gonna sound weird. I'm just gonna say it. I like the smell of my blankets. The scent of my blankets is a
Mm-hmm.
kind thing for me. I know that's weird. I know it's weird. But I'm a
Yeah.
blanket girl.
No, because your senses are kind of that's kind of why we do self care. It kind of hits whatever senses it hit. You know what I mean? It's not it's different. It's not weird.
It is weird. You know what I did last night? We were eating pizza. Marty and I were at Rusticana, and I broke open the crusts and I smelled it. And he's like, "Have you done that like your whole life? Like, what is that about?" I'm like, "I like the smell of it. It's like
Yeah.
fresh dough."
Oh yeah. Real
I'm
Italian stuff. Yeah.
weird. I'm weird. Here was another one I thought was really cool. It's Seth. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it right now. It was I make a cup of tea. We like
Oh
that.
yeah. Yesterday I was dragging, so I made two.
Oh, I got it. Yes.
I made one first thing in the morning. And I made one in the middle of the afternoon because I was dragging yesterday.
But I am so complicated. Like I have so many teacups and I prefer like a glass or porcelain, ceramic kind of cup.
Mm-hmm.
But I will do plastic if I have to or whatever. But like
So
my wick
you're really all in. It's about the cup as well as the tea.
am I like an Earl Grey? Am I an almond tea from Maine? And am I in this ruby oolong stage? That's what I've been in lately. I, what is my mood? I got to be in the mood for things.
I'm English breakfast tea all day long.
So it's time. Yes, that's where you're not a starter. You've moved up a notch. But I got to get you level up.
And I'll tell you why. You got me a bunch for Christmas last year, and I tried some of those. Here's what I don't like about them. I like the taste. They take too long to fill the water. The English breakfast tea is so fine. The leaves are so fine that you dip that thing in there a few times, and it's
So
it's
you like the water to change quick.
yes. I
You
want
don't
to drink
wait
it. I want to drink it. I want to drink it now.
you don't wait like a 90-second, like 2 minutes, whatever.
Because I
I
tried one, and maybe it might have been the first one. I don't remember which one it was, but the leaves were gigantic. I'm thinking, I put that thing in there, and came back 5 minutes later. I'm like,
well, something later might have been like a green tea.
nope.
You
And
need to.
they tasted okay.
All right. How can I know that? I
I'm,
will take it to another. We're gonna go to the next level. We're gonna have
I'm,
a tea.
yeah, definitely a dark tea guy, and not only do I like the English breakfast tea, and I get the Twinings brand. Twinings, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it steeps so quick. I mean, I put it in there and I can drink it really, really early
No,
morning.
there's a quicker one than that that goes dark. Like as soon as you put that bag in it, I got to hook you up. I got to treat you better as a friend. And then I'm not. Oh, and I'm not. You don't put any sugar in it, do you?
Just honey.
Man,
That's all I put in. Just honey.
I like my sugar in the raw. So I don't know, lost this again. Here it is. Here it is. I thought this was a really cool self-care thing. Never thought of this in my life. Do something that you loved as a child.
Mm.
Isn't that cool?
One of mine, that is cool. And one of mine is write a letter to your younger self.
Yeah. Yeah, Apple. I know you're not an Apple person, but they have, and I think I've talked about this on this podcast before. They have a journal app that came out, I think, at the end of last year, and they'll give you prompts to write in the journal, which I haven't done in a while, by the way. But one of them was, yeah, write. What would you tell your younger self?
Yep. Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting thing to do, and to go back and say, oh, I mean, and to talk to yourself like you were really talking to them.
Yeah.
What, like, don't worry about blah blah blah. Why did you even worry about it? Don't worry about it. Yeah.
So I got one on this screenshot, and this is a pretty cool one. It doesn't really cost anything, but it's a group activity. It's family game night.
Oh yeah. I love family game night.
Yeah.
Except when somebody's a little good. Like, you know what makes me irritated, Jay? When we're playing a game of Clue and I've got my Excel spreadsheet out and I'm writing down all my little notes, and then somebody takes no notes and then they win the Clue game, and I'm like, don't be that good at family game night.
Yeah. I can imagine family game night in your house is like
It's competitive.
off the hook. Yeah, it's got to be off the hook.
Yeah. Yeah. Then there's that one game. Have you ever seen the one where you put the thing in your mouth?
Yeah.
And you see all your gums and teeth and you're slobbering? Yeah.
You try to say something. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, everybody, put these in the bleach water now. Let's talk on this is an interesting one, Jay, and maybe explore a landmark that you've never visited. I guess that could end up costing money, but what if it didn't? What if you?
Well, if it's just like a state park or something like that, depending on how far away it is, it's not going to be prohibitive. Yeah.
Well, even in our area, what if there's a cool bridge maybe you've never seen, or
Yep.
a mural or something, just something new
Yep.
which I haven't seen before. Museum.
Yeah, I've got museum. I've got state parks on my list.
Yeah.
I've got a couple on this next screenshot. One of them is cook a new recipe. You're trying a new recipe.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, you're having to buy groceries anyway, so it's not like you're, you know what I mean. It's not really costly in that way.
Well,
But
and some people, I think food is. I think there's something that naturally connect us as human beings. I think nature is, whether people think so or not, I think it does. I think water connects us. Food definitely connects us. But how
Yeah.
many people say, I can't cook, I can't do that? But yet you can.
Yep.
So, I mean, just follow a recipe. It doesn't have to be something wild. Fine, dude, put it in the air fryer. I don't know.
I do it all the time, and I don't make anything fancy, but yeah.
I mean that.
I'm
thinking air.
And it's not, not only are you trying a new meal, but it's the whole, like, to me, cooking, I enjoy cooking. Again, it's just, I don't do anything super fancy, but I do like making like a homemade vegetable beef soup in the wintertime. And I'm like thinking, And football season is kind of like the indicator for me. I'm like, okay, when football season starts, like I'll make it like lunchtime Saturday, and I'll eat it Saturday and Sunday. Maybe have leftovers for work on Monday, and dip some bread and butter in my soup because I do a thick soup. But yeah,
And maybe one of our live podcasts, we have some kind of a chili or soup cook off, and we be the judges.
or we could have Sprout come down and
Yeah,
give out the samples to the live audience or something.
that'd be good. But yeah, and I don't know if people need ideas about people. I hear people all the time say, "Oh, now it's just the two of us. Kids are gone. I don't know how to cook for two," or "I can't cook," or "I have no ideas." But Pinterest is the best. I don't know.
Yeah,
You can. I just look up ground beef or easy
chicken. You know,
whatever recipes are healthy lunch ideas. And Pinterest is a wealth of.
cook with your partner. Have that be like a couples thing. If you're, whether you're a new couple or you're an empty nester, whatever, just find something that you both enjoy. Just cook it together. It can be, together time, but you're,
I have cooking control issues when Marty and I are together. I'm like, yeah, go. I can cook with my kids, but I can't with Marty. Go. He's too slow.
yeah, Marty does seem like he's pretty analytical when it comes to all that
He
stuff.
is. I'm like, yeah, yes, go. No,
I've got wine tasting on here too. And have you ever been down to Triple Creek in Cordova to that winery?
I've been there for events, but not the wine. I'm
They,
not a
I
wine
mean,
girl.
I'm not really either, Kathy, but I mean, they've got some good ones there. And the
It's
St.
good.
Michael's Winery, St. Michael's Winery has some, like the Golly Wobbler, Blackberry. There's, oh my goodness. Like I could actually drink that.
I
Um,
want to be a wine person. I'm just so not.
I never thought I would be either because I don't know, just, I don't know, that taste. I'm not an alcohol person in general because, I, you know, it's hard for me to find an alcoholic beverage that I enjoy the taste of.
Yeah.
But there are a couple wines, and I've never been a wine person either. St. Michael's Winery has a couple of them that are really good. Barefoot, which is not a local winery, has a couple that are very similar, but they're sweet. It's almost like, it's like one of them's the blackberry. Actually, both Barefoot and the St. Michael's Winery have a blackberry wine, and they're so good. Like you're drinking alcohol, but it's also, you feel like a kid because you feel like you're drinking grape juice. Like yeah. I'm just,
Well, you're even talking about food and drinks, but I think you said something to me earlier about what about did you say this to me? About trying new food. Like, did
yeah.
you do that? Okay.
Yeah, just a minute
Like
ago.
that sounds that might sound odd, but for yeah, right. What's a new food? But like for example, I was able to go to Bermuda and try this amazing fish sandwich. But then I came home and recreated it. So even if you looked up, I don't know, the Olympics were just embarrassed, French food, like try something different.
Yeah.
Like this Bermuda fish sandwich, for example, was it was, you took fish and cooked it. You could grill it or you could fry it. And then it was on raisin bread. Isn't that odd? Like a little
Oh, I
lightning
love raisin bread.
raisin bread, the fish, coleslaw, cheddar cheese, and lettuce and tomato, and a little bit of whatever kind of sauce
Hmm.
you want to put on a fish sandwich.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is some kind of wild. This is great, but it's new. Like figure out something new. You can a flavor maybe you haven't had before.
It's funny, Kathy. For the longest time, I refused to try Chinese food. Like I
Oh,
had this preconceived notion of what Chinese food was, and I absolutely would not. And a person that I'll eat most anything. I'm not picky at all, but for some reason, I just would not eat Chinese food. But then once I tried it, I'm like, okay, I'm digging this. So yeah, um, try new stuff, not just with food, but with just in general. Just try different things.
I just thought of something that could be self care. What about, and I've seen this on Facebook where somebody's like, oh, you just unlocked a core memory. Like this morning, it's Tuesday, obviously, and my dad came over and we were going to go do something in the morning real quick. And I was like, Dad, do you remember the Mickey Mouse Club had a song about Tuesday? You know, where everybody's kind of looking at me like, where did you just come up with that? So then I was like, I have this Google little player that has a, you know, a video on it. And I was like, Google, play the Tuesday song from the old Mickey Mouse Club. And it came on. And then Dad was like, yeah. Like him and I knew every word. And Marty's like, okay, all
Right.
right. You know, the black and white Mickey Mouse Club. But,
Uh-huh.
you know, when you remember something like that,
With
it
Annette,
makes
with
you feel
Annette Funicello, Annette and Cubby. Yeah, yep.
Bobby. And my dad was like, I know there's a Tommy on there. I'm like, I don't know about that. There wasn't in that show. He said, there was a Tommy. But it's fun to kind of remember old things, or, you know, you'll see something on Facebook that's like the sick package when you were a kid at your grandparents' house. It was like the Price is Right and some saltines and
Yep.
that vapor
Chicken,
that you put on your chest.
Vicks Vapor Rub and
It just makes you laugh.
chicken soup. Yep.
And then you watch the soaps because your grandmother was
Oh,
giving you
yeah.
at 1:00.
So they would say, I'm going to watch my stories. They call them
There's
stories.
stories. They get and don't talk. Do
Yep.
not.
No, no. They're like, all right, you got to be quiet. I'm going to watch my stories. My stories are on.
Yeah.
They call them stories.
Think of what we were watching when we were like 8 years old.
Yeah.
When you're
All this like controversy and romance going on at the same
oven,
time.
it's like, oh, don't tell mom.
Yeah, I look back now. I'm like, some of the plots on those things are ridiculous.
Yeah. But I mean, that kind of stuff is self care, like some memories that make you laugh.
Yep, reminiscing for sure. I've also got this is an easy one. Doesn't really cost hardly anything. Do a crossword or a puzzle.
Okay, you
You
want to
can-
hear something weird? I was exactly looking at that when you said that. Like on
Really,
my, yeah, it's weird. Yep.
and you could either do a crossword puzzle like the old TV guide or like the New York Times or whatever,
TV guide.
or have an app that has the crossword puzzle, or you can buy a like a puzzle that you put together that has like 1,000 pieces or whatever.
We
Because you
love the
see,
puzzle.
yeah, there
It's
are
all
people.
about for us who's the last person who puts in the last puzzle piece, and sometimes people hide it in my house,
Let's talk about their competition thing coming up again.
and you're like, I've put hours into this. Yeah, but a puzzle. I was looking at the same thing. Da, da, da.
Here's one. Here's one that I love to do, and it just nothing relaxes me more than this.
Hmm.
Is to sit by a fire and look in the watch a fire, either a fire pit or fireplace. Something.
Mesmerized.
Yes, it makes me drool, but it just like hypnotizes me.
Okay, let's talk about fire pits because we're campers, so we like fire pits.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We have that. Ours is solo, I think. Dad's is a different name, but it's the smokeless. Have you ever tried that?
Uh-uh.
Man, they are right because you do not smell like smoke afterwards. They're smokeless fire pits.
Right.
They're really cool. And then I like to take. Have you ever seen the packets that you throw on the fire and then it turns it blue?
Yep.
Yeah,
It's something about a fire, man.
yeah.
I could literally, if somebody's got a fireplace, or but it's better for. I prefer like a real fire. In other words,
Yeah.
like a gas fireplace, and that's fine. It's okay, but like it's something about hearing the wood crackle and that whole. It's just I could sit by a fire and do the whole s'mores thing or cook
Mhm.
hot dogs or whatever all that's part of it.
You
But
can eat
just
a hot dog on a fire, even if you're not hungry.
on like a stick that you get out of the woods.
Well, I don't know. I want a clean
Yeah,
metal
yeah.
stick.
No bark or any of that
You
stuff.
can take the bark. I need the bark. But don't do it over top the blue flame because you might give yourself some
Yeah,
chemical
there's carcinogens going on in that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's something that doesn't really cost anything. I mean, and you
No.
have to buy the fire pit, and once you bought it, that. Oh, here's another one: stargazing.
I was just gonna say that too. We're on the same weird thought process.
That
No, here
literally costs nothing.
look, here is something that I've been trying to chase. That daggone Northern Lights. I see all these Northern Lights on Facebook. I'm like, I am so jealous. I want to see it, but I haven't. I
Yeah.
haven't. And then I guess Sunday night, some people, I guess, could see it locally.
Yeah,
And
the
so
further
last night
north.
I kept getting I set my alarm on my phone and I was like, "Okay, what's the word?" And they're like, "Nope." And then I was like, "Well, maybe they misunderstood." And then I came up an hour later, like, "Nope."
I tell you, and it's better at different times of year, but um, probably the best place for you would have been in Maine because it's so far north. That would have been your best opportunity, but it might not have been the right time of year.
I know.
It's certain times of year.
But then I got an app, an Aurora app, and it'll say the
Hmm.
chances.
So,
It's kind of cool. But you know what else is I never realized is like you say stargazing when our friend Matt was in town from Australia. I probably told you this one time. We took him camping and we're looking up in the sky and I was like, "Oh, like the Big Dipper." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, what?" He's like, "I don't think we have that." Like everybody has the Big Dipper.
the
What are you
sky's
talking?
the same in Australia.
You guys
It
saw the
might
Big Dipper?
it
Did you?
might be in a different place in the sky, but it's up there.
No, they don't see the same constellations that we do. They see the Southern Cross.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot that it's in the southern. Although they're not far from the equator, so
Oh,
huh,
yeah. It was really stunning to me.
okay. Huh.
It's a huh.
That would be kind of cool to like see the constellations in the southern hemisphere. That would be something pretty cool.
You don't see exactly the same thing I do. I don't even understand that. Yeah.
It makes once you mention that, oh yeah, that's true.
Here's a fun one, Jay. Take yourself on a date.
I do it every Friday.
You do it right. But
Yes.
you know, that is so I enjoy those kind of moments. Like I've told people, schedule yourself time. Sometimes I take myself right on a date to Marshall's. And then Marty will say, "Is that a new shirt?" And I said, um
Retail therapy. Yeah.
here's what I say to him every time. It costs $10 or somebody gave it to me.
Some stranger in Marshall just gave it to me out of the cart.
It costs $10. Every female shirt costs $10. I had to buy it. Anyway, make yourself make yourself a date.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
And we talked about this one earlier. Write a letter to your past self or make a list of things you love about yourself.
I bet you that's hard for people to do.
Probably. But it's probably I think it's important because that's kind of it's that building that strong sense of self that we talk about all the time, and that kind of goes hand in hand with self love.
Yeah.
So it's important that you know why you're loving yourself and why you're important enough to,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
How about sunshine? There is I don't know how many minutes a day. I mean, there is some recommendation on
The
that. Is it like
vitamin D, the vitamin
yeah,
D.
is
Well,
it 2
I
a
do
day?
know this. Well, here's the thing: if let's just say you were to not get vitamin D from any other source,
Mhm.
like milk or whatever, if you were to not get vitamin D from any other source, they say you're supposed to be spend 60 minutes being exposed to the sun in some way. But here's the thing: you could be riding down the road with your arm out the window in the sunlight and be getting it that way.
Yeah.
So, but we all get it to some degree in other sources. So it's probably case by case. But like I said, if you're not getting it through any other sources, it's 60 minutes of sun per day.
I even think that like to be directly in the sun, it's not that much. It may be like 15-20 minutes. I don't know.
Right.
Just get outside. There's some people are really good at that, and some people are not as good about getting outside.
Yeah.
We need it.
Here's the last two. Well, the last three I'm going to talk about. Um, and one of them, I love the idea of, and I've done it many times, but I'm always regretful after I do it. And it's take a nap. Like I love the idea of like just like on a Saturday afternoon, like in the winter or whatever, just like laying down and cuddling up in the blankets and sleeping for an hour. I love the idea of it, but every time I do it, every time I wake up so cranky and
Me too.
groggy, and it takes me like forever to kind of wake back up all the way. So I'm always like, oh, why did I do that? But then again, then the next time comes around, and I'm like, oh, I love the idea of that.
I feel the same way. But I'll add a twist to mine. Not only do I feel guilty that I did it, or groggy or cranky that I woke up, I usually have somebody looking at me saying, "Did you fall asleep?" Well, obviously, you're looking at me and you saw me sleeping. Why are you asking? Why
I
does it
wasn't I
me?
wasn't knocked out. I fell asleep. That's the
Right.
purpose.
Like, why does it irritate me when somebody is eyeballing me in my house and said, "Oh, you went to sleep"? Like, I just, downed a fifth of vodka or something. I'm
Because
like,
they wish that they could sleep, and they're mad at you
yeah,
for.
obviously, don't look at me. It's like in the car. You looking at me? Don't be looking at me. I wouldn't know you were looking at me if you weren't looking at me. Here, oh, go ahead. Let's get ready to say it. Read or watch something funny. I'll just go ahead and sneak that in.
Yeah, that was Reed. Reed was one of mine for sure.
Read.
And go to a comedy show is also one of on my list too. Um, here's
And
one
we
that
have some local comedy. We have some local at the Avalon.
yeah, I've actually been to a couple times, and
Okay.
they're actually hilarious. That was actually an improv group that
Mm.
came a while back, and they cracked me up. I love that. Um, so here's my last two, and I think they're both very important. And one of them is volunteer in your community.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yes.
it only takes your time. Um, and you're probably thinking, wait a minute, you're giving of yourself to somebody else, and you are. That's kind of the purpose. But I think where the self care comes in is we just gain so much perspective about life and about just kind of we kind of we're done with some empathy and some grace, and that's always good. Um, and that kind of goes hand in hand with my last one. That's very very important is make a list of gratitudes,
Oh, yeah.
things that you're or do a gratitude journal. Um, yeah, I just we had actually had an episode specifically about gratitude, so you know where I stand on that whole thing. I think
Right.
it's it doesn't cost you anything, but I think it's important to do, and it also kind of helps you realize that um and it's funny as I'm thinking as my wheels are turning, I'm thinking, man, I'm grateful for all my self care that I'm able to do. It's literally so it's it's yeah, it kind of comes around, comes full circle, and it kind of rebuilds itself to the next cycle of self care, and then the next cycle of self care. Yeah,
I like it. I think we should end on that one. The gratitude one. I like it.
yeah. So yeah, we've probably listed I don't know 30 or 40 different things of self care that you guys can either are already doing or are very cheap and easy and inexpensive and are local. And so as the title's going to be for this episode, self care is everywhere. It's not as hard to find. You're probably already doing it anyway. So um, continue doing those things and maybe try some new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's pivot for a few minutes on what we've been watching lately. And I know you had some new stuff you wanted to share because you've been out for a couple of weeks, so you've kind of built up your watching
I
library.
know. So I made Marty go to the movies as a diversion and watched Dead.
Okay.
Love the soundtrack.
Yeah, music was great.
I hadn't seen the other Deadpool, so I don't know if we were just not in the right frame of mind for it. It wasn't as amazing as my kids and you guys said it was to us, but we might have been a little preoccupied. But I
Yeah.
did love the soundtrack. Some it's not. I like some of the other Marvel stuff a lot better, but it's okay. That was okay. And then what I started back on too, and I don't think you've watched it yet, is Cobra Kai.
Oh, I got some news about that one for you.
Okay, so I started the new season. We watched two of them, two of the third season. So, but here, oh my gosh, Jay, you know what Dylan did, and all I could do is picture you. I was like, wait, what? I was like, because they're showing a recap, and it was going so fast. I was like, did we watch it? I don't remember that one. And Dylan's like, if you start talking during that episode, I am done with you. And I was like, really? I said, baby, you better pause it right now. You better pause it.
Let me ask my questions now.
So I was like, you better pause it. And then I got all my questions out, but it was you, Jay. He was you.
So, all right. So the Deadpool thing, Deadpool is a completely different kind of superhero than any of the other Marvels. It is way different. So I can understand where someone that's a traditional Marvel fan would
Right.
not be um as into it.
I mean, I liked it, but I
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah, sure.
wow. Some
Um,
like, "Oh my god, it was what I needed." The Marvel movie, I didn't know I need, but I didn't feel the same.
I think those two, I think Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are gold together. They're actually good friends.
I
They're good
agree.
friends in real life. They were very good friends in real life. I loved, and again, Liza and I talked about this last week. I loved all the callbacks. I loved how they connected it with the Loki series, how the TVA and all that was incorporated. I like that. Did not anticipate that, but it makes sense. And I like the group of other superheroes that they find along the way, the other cameos. That was cool because
That's true.
I did not expect that. And what I also liked was in that scene where there's 100 other Deadpools
Yeah.
that he's having to fight. Okay, so Blake Lively does the voice of the woman, which is obvious, but there are probably a dozen other famous actors or
Really
actresses that do the voices for those other
awesome.
Deadpools. You have to look that up, and it's kind of cool to realize that yeah. So, but yeah, Deadpool's it's it's way more comedic. It's way more light. It's kind of silly. The bye 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 scene at the very
Yeah,
beginning. I was like, yep, I'm hooked. I'm in. Then the Madonna like a prayer later
yeah.
on was good. I
And
liked the girl that played the villain. Um,
yeah.
I did not realize that that was pulled directly from the comic books because I've never read comic books. She was good, and I recognized her, but I couldn't place my finger on it. She plays the lead character in a show that I've been watching that I'm waiting for a new season. It's called Murder at the Edge of the World. It's very
Ooh,
good. She's got a full head of hair
okay.
in that show, so I'm like, I know I've seen her before, but I couldn't place it, so I had to
Yeah.
look her up, and so yeah, so that's um. So Cobra Kai, I started watching it. I got about 3 or 4 episodes in,
You can
and
do it.
I can't do it.
Wow,
I
Johnny.
just the only part that I enjoyed was the very first 10 minutes of the very first episode where they show you the whole karate tournament from the original.
I think you've gotta tolerate it. I think this is part
I mean it was not it was like Kathy, it was bad. Like I
I
was like,
think
ah.
just get through it. If you can get through it, then you'll get hooked.
But see, what I don't get is I don't think that's going to be the case for you. Here's why. Because they're going to get farther away from what I'm familiar with. They were at least connected to that, the characters, whatever. From what I understand, it seems speaks that although yes, Ralph Macchio and the other dude, and there are
Of
some people,
course.
they start introducing all these. It gets further away from what I'm used to, and I was never the biggest fan of the original. I liked it, but it wasn't
Me
like
neither.
if it were to come on one of the cable channels, I would not watch it.
But I really started to like the bad guy, Johnny Lawrence. I really like him. Better than
So
Machi.
I gave it a shot. Um,
I
I
can't
I
believe I
I
can't believe I'm saying this shit.
I don't anticipate, especially with all my shows starting to come back on.
Fine.
Only Murders in the Building are supposed to start up in a couple of weeks. Which speaking of Selena Gomez, I love that show. Talk about an amazing cast. I mean, it's got like crazy big actors on that show. Um,
And there's good movies coming out. The Disney stuff has started to
you
announce
know,
what's out. And,
so I went and watched
oh yeah, I want to hear
it.
that.
It ends with us this past Friday,
And there was
and
a book I hear.
it's actually there's two in the series. This was the first of the two bestseller, and I kept seeing all this like hubbub on social media about you've got to watch it just in general, not to me, but just
Yeah.
people were talking about it. They were number one, people just tend to like Blake Lively.
So what's the gist of it? I don't even know what it's about.
Okay, so Blake Lively plays this character who comes from a family where there was abuse in the family. Um, her the beginning of the movie has her father passes, and she is it comes back home from where she's living. She has moved to Boston from where she lives and is trying to open up a business. She meets this doctor, marries him, but let me back up. She befriends this homeless kid, and they fall in love when she's younger, like high school age. Of course, she moves. They go their separate ways, so they kind of lose contact. She finds this doctor, and he's great at first. He becomes abusive. She
Mm,
she happens to run into the homeless kid that she used to know in high school, who's opened up his own restaurant and is making it. So then there's that old, you know, there's this old love from her past. There's this new love, but he's abusive, and um, yeah. So there's all that, and
so it's just
it's
about her story.
yeah, and it's a story, Kathy. It's just about real life stuff, the good and the bad.
Mm,
It's got the dark side of domestic abuse, but
yeah.
it's also a story of strength and resilience and a real genuine love, because that connection she had with the boy from her childhood, like that was a real genuine thing. Um, Come to find out, he had been kicked out of his home, so he was staying in an abandoned house, like across the street from her house. That's how she figured out who he was, because he was stealing food out of her garbage can, and she saw him.
Oh,
So then she goes over one day and leaves food on his doorstep and knocks on the plywood, because it's just like boarded up windows, like an abandoned house. So she knocks on the boarded up window and leaves some food, and they have this really, it's just a good, pure,
hmm,
healthy, respectful love. And that kind of, um, she remembers that because she's now in this abusive relationship that she kind of goes back and forth whether she wants to leave. And
right.
it's just, it kind of covers all the bases. You feel all the emotions. Um, but you can tell that there's a second book. It's called, It Starts With Us. The first one's called It Ends With Us, which is this one.
Oh, okay.
But
The
it's
books?
there's two books, and the
Did you
second,
read them? You're not.
I didn't know anything about it, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was surprised by this.
Oh,
Like
Marty be reading them now. God,
I
Marty's my
was
new.
I was surprised by all these people that kept talking. Oh, I can't wait to see this. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know,
because they knew the story already.
yes. And then as I put stuff out on social media that I was going to see it, I was asking questions that people were bombarding me with. Oh yeah, I love the book. Like it was like number one. Um, so yeah, and now there's this controversy. Blake Lively was a producer. The guy that plays the bad guy is also the director. So there's all this controversy about who's going to direct the next one, and are they going to invite that guy back, because apparently there was some issues, um, some working relationship issues
Yeah.
there. But um,
Yeah.
so there's that. So streaming wise, I've been watching this show. It's actually 2 years old. I just found it on Hulu. It's called Tell Me Lies.
Hmm.
It's Kathy. I got to tell you, I love this show,
Isn't good.
and it's so good. The bad guy, the villain in this show, well, I'll label him as the villain. He is like rises to the top of my list of like
Bad guys.
worst, most hated villains
Oh, wow.
I've ever seen. But it's in a very, it's not like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not in a like he murdered people or like evil in that way, but it's just like
Just
this
not
guy
that
is like this guy is just a mess. And he is just a bad person, like in every way. But he he's going through it. Oh, the kid that plays the villain is Katie Seagal, Married with Children. Bundy,
Yeah.
Peg
Yeah.
Bundy,
Hey,
Peg Bundy. It's her son, and
in
she
the
played
show. Her real son or the
her
show?
real son. Well,
Oh,
at
okay.
both. She's the mother of him on the show too.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yep. So,
What was his name? I forget. Not Russ.
um,
Oh, I
yeah,
did watch your Simone Wiles show too. I did good every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It was good because it
Well,
kind of.
that's another bullying thing too. That was another,
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh my
Yep.
gosh, people, stop it.
Yep.
Another one. But yeah, so I've been doing good, Jay. I listened to you, but you didn't listen to me.
Well, I did Cobra Kai. I gave Cobra Kai a try.
That is a try. That's
3 or 4
legit.
episodes is definitely a try.
Well, that's it.
If you don't hook me in 3 or 4 episodes,
Gosh. Well, maybe you just need to fast forward or something. I don't know.
now, I've also been watching this other one. I can't remember what it's on, which one it's on. It's called Betrayed, and it's actually these two women who do a podcast, but they're also journalists, and they have come across these stories, and they have these women. Well, so far it's been women have come on as guests who have been betrayed, and maybe their husband was leading a dual life, or
Hmm.
shocking events happened. So I think there's been 2 or 3 seasons so far, or let's say I say seasons. That's like I think there's 4 or 5 episodes per story. I'll just call them stories because they're not really seasons. It's really good, and they're true stories.
Hmm.
They do a podcast, and they kind of they talk about it on their podcast, but they've also created this TV show around these stories. So yeah, so that's what we've been watching here lately. So
Nice. Now I gotta figure out. I might stay in the Cobra Kai realm.
yeah, you've got to give Tell Me Lies a try. It's on Hulu, and it's like, oh my god, it's so
I
good.
watched The Family Affair too. I'm a half an hour into that one and I fell asleep.
I've seen that on the queue, but I haven't tried that one yet.
I thought you told me you saw that one. Was that good fun?
Family Fair.
You didn't see that
Oh
one?
yeah. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one with Nicole Kidman
Yeah.
and Zac Efron. Yes.
I only got half an hour and my eyelids started. I started viewing those. Not because it was boring, just I was tired.
Yeah, this one is very similar to the other one you watched with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, seems similar, but instead of a rock star, it's a movie star.
Yeah.
But this one's
The
funnier.
Idea of You was the other one.
Yes, this one's funnier than the other one, but the other one was deeper. So that they're
You
good.
gotta be proud of me. I have really, taken the J list and checked some off over the
Well,
last.
I think I'm pretty good as far as like steering people in a good direction. Not to say that I have the same taste as everybody else does, but um, I think I can recognize things that make people feel, and that's usually what I try to like recommend to people. But yeah, if you try that Tell Me Lies, you'll know exactly why I hate this guy so much as a character. Oh my gosh, and it's funny as the season kept going on, I'm thinking, man, like he's right up there with the most hated villains I've ever experienced. And what's cool is that, of course, like everybody else, the strike delayed their season 2.
Oh yeah.
I think September 4th is like season 2 starts. So I'm really looking forward to that.
So
Yeah,
it's a
it's
new series.
now I will say this: there is a lot of sex in the show. So there's some boobs and there's some naked butts, but like there's a lot of sex. I'm just gonna tell you.
Yay.
But like the depth and the interpersonal stuff is, yeah, yeah, I'm hooked.
I'm waiting for my Outer Banks to come back.
Yeah, me too. That's on my long list of stuff I
Is
want.
that you've never started it?
Yo, I watched it. I finished it.
You just
I loved it.
scare me. All
No,
right.
I definitely watched that.
I thought I saw. Did I see that is going to drop some episodes in like November, or am I making that up?
Yeah, I don't know. There's that. There's The Summer I Turned Pretty, and there is my 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 Life with the Walter Boys. All 3 of those snuck up on me, and I liked them all a lot. But like I said, Only Murders in the Building comes up August 27th on Hulu. I love that show. It's so good. What's an amazing freaking cast. I mean, they've got like Meryl Streep and Paul Rudd, and they've got Eva Longoria this year. And
Which one?
it's Only Murders in the Building.
You've told me about that one. I might
Yeah.
need it.
That's if you like murder mysteries, but it's funny. It's just, I mean, there's movies, there's just big time stars all over the place.
Wow.
This is going to be either season 3 or season 4. I can't remember. Um, yeah, it's really good,
I feel
really
like the
good.
fall and winter are good binging seasons.
Oh, for sure. Because when it gets dark early, you're like, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
watch it.
do
Yeah,
it. Turn the lights out, put the illumination on. You gotta have illumination. Like those fake candles that you can have the remote and be like, click, click, get
yeah,
some.
yeah. Snuggle under a blanket.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Get your popcorn.
there's some self care right there. It's easy. Turn on your streaming and watch a show.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So get on out there and hit that self care, and remember that self care is everywhere. It's not as hard as you might think. And we will catch you next time. Take care, guys.
See you later.